And today I'm going to be showing you 3 basic drum grooves that every beginner drummer should know when they start playing the drums. Now, if you're not an experienced drummer, if this is your first time, we're going to take it easy, going to take it slow. I'm going to show you how to play it, and then I'm going to show you how to play it with a tune. But first, we're going to talk about the rock groove. Now basically, when you're doing the rock groove, you're most of the time it's on the hi-hat. You can switch to the ride cymbal if you'd like, but I like the hi-hat a little bit better because most rock grooves, everybody would know, you play on the hi-hat. And the basic hi-hat groove, the rhythm, is just simple 8th notes, just 1 and 2, and so it goes something a little bit like this. Simple. Nothing too crazy just yet. And then when you add, you're going to add the bass drum on 1 and 3, and the snare drum on 2 and 4. So the bass and snare alone, together, without the hi-hat, would sound something like this. Again, pretty simple. All together, you have yourself a rock groove, but it's basic. You can add different things if you want, some different snare rhythms. Maybe it doesn't have to be always on 2 and 4, but you should get it on 2 and 4 most of the time, because that is the rhythm. The bass drum can change up as much as it wants. 1 and 3, be 1 and 3, 1 and 3 and, it can change anytime. So the way I'm playing it, don't feel hesitate. Don't just play it like I'm playing it. Add some of your own stuff to it. But remember that this is a rock groove, so you don't want to change it completely. So all together, it'll sound something like this. Simple, rock groove, very basic. Now let's check it out with a tune. The next groove I'm going to show you is a little bit unique, if you want to put it into your own words. It's not as unique as any of the world grooves or maybe even a hip-hop type groove or reggae, but this groove is a little bit less rockish, if that's a word I like to put it. You are not rocking out. This is not a rock groove. You are not being Keith Moon with this. This is a jazz groove. We're talking Louis Armstrong and Charlie Parker and all them. Famous jazz musicians. Check them out. Search them up on the internet and you'll get some jazz. Now, when you play jazz, you're going to be doing a ride pattern that goes 1, 2 and, 3, 4 and. Now, they're going to be dotted 8th notes, so it's not straight 8th notes like doesn't work. Doesn't even sound that good. I don't even like that much. For rock, that might work. But for jazz, you want to swing it. That's the term that we use. We use swing it. And to swing it, you do a dotted 8th note. So it's more like that. Now, to add the other stuff, the hi-hat's always on 2 and 4. So all it is like that. Doesn't change much. Snare drum's also on 2 and 4, so it matches with the hi-hat. So together, it would be The bass drum, just quarter notes. That's all you're doing. Nothing special, and the bass drum, as light as you can get it. You don't want to go like that. This is not a rock groove, this is a jazz groove. You want to keep it soft. So, quarter notes. And then hi-hat and snare on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 1, all together. So something like that. When you're working with the snare, you can always change it up a bit, but not too crazy. Because if you get too crazy, then it's going to be all over the place, it's going to be messy, and you're going to mess up the band. You don't want to do that. So don't do that. But you can add some ghost notes. Now what are ghost notes? Ghost notes are basically just lighter hits on the snare. So you have 2 and 4, but in between that you can just add like a little bit of like, so a little bit softer, instead of just like 1, 3, 4. I'll play a little bit faster. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So it's something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So something like that. So as you can see, I was kind of messing it up a little bit, but I was keeping with the groove. Don't mess up the groove, you don't want to do that. It's all about the groove. So let's hear it with a tune. The third and final groove I'm going to show you is probably the hardest. But that doesn't mean you can't learn it. It's called a samba. Now this groove is a little bit different than the rock and the jazz because it's more unique. It's definitely the most unique out of the 3. And what I mean by unique is now we have the snares off, we're doing some rim shots, and we're working with the toms now. We didn't do that before. I mean, I played fills with the toms, yes, but this one actually has the toms in the groove. Now, when you're working, the ride pattern is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show it to you, so take a listen. That's the ride pattern, so it's... I even have a cheat sheet right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 3, 4. That's the rhythm. 2, 3, 4. Basic. Now, this is easy. All you have to do is put 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically the same thing. So 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, and then on the snare and the toms. This is the hardest part. Rim shot. A rim shot consists of basically just laying the stick across the drum, using your index finger and your thumb, palm on the snare, and basically you just bring it up. That's what you're doing. Make sure you have the snares off, because this is a samba, you don't want the snares on, it doesn't sound good. If you have the snares on, it would sound something like this. You hear that snare sound. For a samba, you really don't want that sound. You just want the snares off, and like that. Now when you're doing it, I'll do the ride and the snare part together with the toms. So it goes like this. Now one thing you don't have to do, but I'm doing it, so, because that's how I learned it, you don't have to, is play on the bell of the ride. Now the bell of the ride just gives it a little bit of a samba sound, so it's like, instead of, but you don't have to just play it on the bell, you can play it right on the ride, just like any regular groove. Now the bass drum is probably going to be the trickiest part. You're doing 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and that's really slow. So it goes like this. Let me just play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now with the ride cymbal, it's going to be a little different. So it's going to be like. That. And when it's all together, it's going to sound really cool. So it's at a slow tempo. I mean, that is, but when it gets faster, you can have it really cooking. So it sounds all together like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. It's a really cool groove, and all it requires is just a little bit of practice. It's a little bit more about coordination than it is actually playing the groove. If you don't have any good coordination, it's going to take a while. But you can learn it. You just got to take it slow, use a metronome to keep the time. Keeping the time is the most important part when playing the drums. So let's hear this one with 3 different tempos. 3 different grooves, 3 different tempos. Let's hear it. And those are the 3 grooves that every drummer, beginner drummer, should know. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and once again, I'm Michael Saragusa, and I'll check you out at the next tutorial.